After much deliberation about what to review to kickstart the new year, I decided to dedicate this space to review Salman's performance during the COVID era. So I finally watched Antim, The Final Truth, to shake off my bitterness towards Salman's movies. I'd already tested my luck with Radhe, but watching Antim has made me wash off my sins to a certain degree, or maybe my eyes have just learned to soak up the Bollywood abuse after all. Although Antim got released in theatres, I was forced to exercise my discretion after Radhe's debacle, which sort of prevented my visit to the movie hall. We all agree that even Radhe was lower than the standards we have come to associate with Salman all these years. Whoever said they need a revolver pointed to his head when he said that there are hit movies, there are flop movies, and then there are Salman Khan's movies. If you have keenly followed his work, then you constitute a fan, or you just enjoy watching his chemistry with himself on screen. There are no haters filling the cracks, though the critics would endlessly pile on their hate for him. His reach into the masses has remained unaffected. Antim is the latest entrant to join his vast repertoire in Salman's universe. Since we are orbiting the subject of multiverses these days, feeding on the frenzy surrounding Spider-Man, we should probably stop to acknowledge the contribution from the subcontinent as well. And people who call it a myth are the freaks who have somehow convinced themselves in thinking that TikTok Reels will bring order to chaos in the world in the foreseeable future. We will of course keep Bajrangi Bhaijaan aside since it harbors our distinct respect, which no amount of Radhe, Race 3 or Dabang 3 could erase. The overall theme of Antim closely follows what he has already done in many films in the past decade. Tubelight was a disappointing exception to this trend, so I'll strike that off the list. In fact, let me go on record by saying that any discussion that starts off or includes anything about Tubelight should be mandatorily be made illegal, punishable under the Indian Penal Code. On the other lines, the film is a hasty collection of his characteristic ideas that our bhai should consider applying for the patent by now. Might as well earn from the royalties per se. The emblematic slow motion walk either towards the camera or away from it commences with catching a fleeting glimpse of his turquoise bracelet, which no doubt has amassed more fame than all of his co-stars combined. The muscles on his arms occupy the two-thirds size of the screen, which is nothing but a close camera shot celebrating the blood and sweat of Bhai inside the gym. Nestled atop is him rambling something in the lowest note possible, yet loud enough to drown out the background score. Haven't we seen that already? Yet the fans or that other category I mentioned scramble for the theatres to celebrate his style in the most earnest and loyal ways known to a fan serving their idol. Never mind the note of monotony his opening appearances have engendered over the years. It never gets old. Antim has him doing just the opposite though. Oh yes, there is an opening fight sequence that faithfully follows the characteristic tone, but the bigger question to ask is, does the story require that? The same applies to all the movies he has done, but we will not punish ourselves by traveling to that territory. Anyway, throughout the film, he mutters dialogues in a baritone that's probably lower than the A0 musical note on a piano. Any lower, only the rodents can hear. Oh, by the way, I practiced it a lot. Apparently, it doesn't work with me. Maybe because his throat is equipped with a high-fidelity larynx. Meanwhile, he unenthusiastically walks around the police station as if Abhay has finally embraced the age, for he has trouble carrying around his energy-soaked body. The only time he springs to action is literally during the action sequences. He cuts off the inertia of his enemies, quickening upon him by throwing punches that not only break their bodies but also break their spirits. Mind you, no Avengers superhero could reduce a full-blown human body into a scrunched-up composite of mass, bones and spattered blood that Salman's brutality casts. I should give him credit where the credit is due. He is a pugilist who can launch kicks quite well, or maybe he's just a good mimic. So what if his acting chops need some work? He's an entertainer and he is here to do just that. Whereas Radhe has him romancing a girl that could easily pass for his daughter, of course hypothetically if he was married. Antim, on the other hand, has him wasting dollops of gyan on a bunch of reluctant recipients before starting the conversation that makes sense. He seems to possess an extensive repertoire for one-liners that his larger-than-life characters hum without stocking up on expressions. Quite frankly, his films have symbolically promoted this style, although the technique is a blatant rehash of the dialogue bazi from the classics. His approach is unique and he loves to dig his teeth into it. Trolling aside, that is often subjected to for the choices he makes either in choosing the films or his portrayal of the characters, especially how he lends a unique version to state Hindi dialogues. We are all guilty of watching his work on screen. It never gets medieval. In fact, each announcement of his films generates the amount of hype that no other movie star is capable of pulling. Hopefully, his charismatic stardom will continue to shape up in the expected inertia in the follow up years as well. We will put our money on the longevity of the varying roles he has enacted on screen for the longest possible time, well into the future, with resembling urbanity.